Hernan Cortez is one of the most successful conquerors in all of history. He used genius tactics with a bit of luck and took over the Mexican Indians called the Aztecs. This is his story.
Hernan Cortez was born and raised in Medellin, Spain on 1485. When he was 14, he was sent away to get a higher education and was believed to study Latin and law. 5 years later, he sailed to the New World to make life for himself. He went to what is now Haiti. He worked with the governor of Haiti, who took him onto a conquest of Cuba and was rewarded with land and slaves.
7 years later, Diego Velasquez became the governor of Cuba and made Cortez one of his top officials. He named Cortez the captain of an expedition to Mexico, but after a fight he revoked his status. Cortez went against Velasquez's wishes and sailed to Mexico anyway. He sailed to Veracruz, Mexico, and meets the Aztec king Montezuma. And him and the Aztec people misunderstood Cortez as Quetzalcoatl, the white feather serpent god. They tried to appease him by giving him gold and other treasures to make him go away, but he found it suspicious and took Montezuma hostage, giving opposite effect.
Cortez burnt all of his ships, so his men had no other choice but to assist him in taking over the Aztecs. They befriended other tribes that were interested in defeating the Aztecs, as well as defeated other tribes, and then afterwards having them join his army. He also wanted to spread Christianity, seeking the Aztecs' religion in other tribes. Cortez meets Malinche, a Naha Indian, which was a group of indigenous people around Mexico. She learned Spanish and helped to be a translator for Cortez. She became Cortez's girlfriend, and later they had a child.
Meanwhile, when he captured the Aztec king Montezuma, Velasquez sent men to go to war with Cortez in Mexico, but they were defeated by Cortez. Montezuma couldn't get the Aztecs to accept Cortez as their leader, so Cortez killed him. When he died, Cortez and his men battled Aztecs and took over Aztec's capital city, Tenochtitlan.
The Aztecs were one of the most sophisticated Indian tribes. They established a city with canals and water bridges to islands on a big lake. Their capital, Tenochtitlan, had more than 200,000 people, which had more people than any city in Europe at the time. The Aztec people used to be nomadic, but in their religion, legend has it that when they found their permanent home, there would be an eagle eating a snake on a cactus. They saw this, and so they set home there in 1325. They were taken over in 1521.
3 years later, Cortez worked to develop farms in what he named New Spain, which is now Mexico. The King of Spain sent other rulers to New Spain to aid Cortez, but when they became sick, Cortez was blamed of poisoning them. He returned to Spain 4 years later and proved his innocence to the king. He was freed from charges and returned to Mexico. He died 37 years later in 1567 at the age of 62. In his later life, he was mostly ignored and barely respected. He left the legacy of a great explorer, but as well as a man full of greed. Shortly before Hernan Cortez died, Antonio de Mendoza, the first viceroy, or ruler in a colony, encouraged the exploration of more territories in the Americas. Some new areas are discovered in South, Central, and North America, like the entire west coast of North America and Florida, Texas and Louisiana, Cuba, Santo Domingo, and all of Central and South America except Brazil, which is owned by the Portuguese, and Guyana, which was owned by the Dutch. Interestingly, New Spain was called Viceroyalty of New Spain, and technically, Viceroyalty of New Spain only included the Spanish territories of North America, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central America. In South America, the Spanish named the rest of the territories below New Spain into the Viceroyalties of New Granada, Peru, and Rio de la Plata. They named the different territories and had viceroyalties, which were like junior colony kings, in charge of the territories to keep it well managed instead of one guy in charge of it all. Eventually, sub-territories started their own wars of independence from Spain, mostly in the 1800s. Chile gained their independence in 1818. All of South America except Cuba and Puerto Rico gained independence in 1824. Mexico in 1824, Texas in 1845, the Spanish-American War in 1896 to 1898, which is won by the U.S., resulted in Spain losing Puerto Rico, Cuba, the Philippines, and other territories. New Spain was officially over in 1898. Although diseases like smallpox and other negative aspects of the Spanish conquest, like making Indians work, taking their land, and abusing power, the Spanish conquest united the Americas by exchanging and giving an advanced common language, a common religion, and advanced science and technology from Western Europe.